Any bills? Seeing none, we'll move on to final action on Senate Bill 514, making and concerning certain supplemental appropriations for fiscal year 24 and 25 and appropriations for fiscal year 25 and 26 for various state agencies. Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the time to offer up a proviso. I've got it drafted up, and as it gets passed out here by our reviser, I just put out on your piece of paper here, 3 pieces of paper, to kind of a draft copy. It's still in progress in terms of the briefing, but what you'll notice on the first page is the revenue breakdown and the number of visitors to the Missouri State Penitentiary Museum. That's located in Jefferson City. It's very similar to our Lansing Correctional Facility.
We're just getting them. Give us 1 second. No, I seen it.
And what you'll notice on that first page is kind of a history of the number of visitors per year from 2015 to 2022. And you can see in the time of the pandemic a drop down where we had that across the industry. But it's on its way to making $1 million a year in revenue over there in Missouri. And if you go to the second page, what you'll notice is a schematic of the actual old historic Lansing Correctional Facility. And then on the left side, you'll see a picture. And you'll see on the north side, there's a new Lansing Correctional Facility listed at the very top of that. That's a wall right there. And right to the south of that, there's a ball field. When I was briefing the Department of Corrections Secretary Zamuto on this, he expressed a desire to include the ball field and the facilities that are up to the northwest corner there inside of the current footprint of the new Lansing Correction Facility to add in some space for them. This whole area on the bottom is where the actual museum would be. You can see there where the auditorium where Johnny Cash played. You can see over on the right where the riots were. And you'll see over on the right also where there's an idea of a gallows reconstruction. So the idea here is to move forward with the idea of, if you go to the third page, a Lansing Correctional Facility Museum, maybe the Kansas State Penitentiary Museum at Lansing Leavenworth. And you'll see the Secretary of Corrections estimate up on, if you look at the first line, that's actually what's in the proviso. Assess and stabilize the repairs, roofs, windows, things like that in the area that was outlined to make it stable so it doesn't deteriorate anymore, so that it can be used as a prison museum to the total of $490,000. Working with some individuals on this committee, these are the line items below that 3.25 million is what it would take to put a new wall in place or a fence that would bifurcate that the old facility and allow the ball field to be positioned inside the new facility. Those are the estimates that the Department of Corrections has come up with. $950 for demolition of the gym buildings, the tone wall. You can go through that list and see that. But I wouldn't ask for that today. I think that's something that we could be briefed on and look at further in the future. But then there's also a line item that I had coming out of EDIF of $75K just for, and it's a one-time fund to jumpstart the content development for Kansas State Penitentiary Museum. And what we have there is a nonprofit, just like they do in Missouri. They have a nonprofit located on the state property there. We already have one called the Lansing Historic Society. They've gone through all the motions. They've negotiated with the Department of Corrections. We've got an idea about how this would work. And what the proviso would do is for the 24, 25, and 26 cycles, initially give them the right and responsibilities, let the Department of Corrections and the Lansing Historic Society come up with a contract, memorandum of understanding based on what they do in Missouri that would allow them to then conduct tours in sync with each other and allow for those tours to happen and also allow for the security of our guests that would be going in there. And so that's basically what the proviso does. That's the piece that David handed out. $75,000 for the content delivery and $490,000 and these are one-time use funds for the stabilization effort. And so I'd make a motion that we move this forward, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion, a second by Senator Clays. Questions? Senator Petty.
Senator Pittman, on the the schematic that you provided for us about the current and old prison, so that ball field area, is that just sitting dormant now?
Senator Pittman.
Mr. Chair, thank you for the question, Senator. It is standing dormant. There's nobody using it right now. And the buildings to the left, we've got to walk through it one more time to make sure there's no buildings of super historical significant, but those also are staying dormant right now.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator McGinn.
Are we putting a ballpark in the museum district? I missed that part.
Senator Pittman.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Senator, for the question. The ball field's already there. It's part of the old facility. What you're looking at is the footprint of the old facility. There's a big field there that they used to play sports on. They'd have outdoor activities. There's a whole basketball court down there. The idea of the Secretary Zamuto is to move the wall so that it would come down from that north boundary. I guess it's actually east if I'm looking at this, but that boundary up to the top of your picture, move it down to the middle of the picture. So they want to move the whole wall so that it then puts that footprint inside the current Lansing Correctional Facility new part. So we're not actually adding anything, but we would be redrawing the boundary and coming up with a secure perimeter for that.
I just didn't know if we were going to sell tickets to prisoner baseball games or something, so.
It's a good point. And back in the day, there were a lot of prison and local community that would actually have softball games back in the day.
Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Masterson.
Mr. Chairman, I had a little bit of cleanup from yesterday. You know, we had put the supplemental bill into the underlying bill. And what I found out that left two versions of the fix for WSU, KU, the bioscience. I just want to make it clarify, and it probably needs to be in the form of a motion. I move that we clarify the language that we want the Senate version of the fix that was in 382, and that will allow them to delete the underlying. It's the same amount of money. It's just a different language.
Correct. So we have a motion and a second by Senator Clays. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Other provisos? Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for a maternal fetal medicine program. It's $600,000 that would go to KDHE Health for that. They'll pass out the proviso. It's pretty brief. The idea is to improve maternal and infant health outcomes. It'll be located, I mean, it uses population data, but it's for a hospital in Johnson County.
Okay, we have a motion by Senator Clays. We have a second. Second by Senator Petty. Questions? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the thought process of the 600,000 population?
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's just a way to identify a county without stating the name of the county. It would only include Johnson County, so it's for a hospital where 1 in 7 babies in Kansas are born. We're attempting to improve outcomes for both the mothers and the infants, especially those who are being born into this world early.
Other questions? Senator Fagg.
Is this a one-time expense?
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, it is simply for an expansion of that program to take on more of these cases from across the state. So the location is in Johnson. I'm hoping that not everyone has had the experience of having their child born early, but there are only 2 locations in the state where those services are provided.
Other questions? Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just add that the maternal fetal medicine's location is located adjacent to the birth center at Advent Health. And this is a building was built in 1991. This space hasn't been renovated, and this 600,000 will just help with that renovation so that they will be able to have better services and provide more services for the maternal fetal medicine.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Clays.
Nobody else have anything?
Does anybody else have one? Pardon me?
All right, I got it.
Senator Clays.
All right, we'll just tee one up here. All right, Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. We have a request during the COVID, and this is a brief one, so we'll just let them hand it out and I'll explain why they do that. During COVID, the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame lost their executive director. They, of course, were shut down like many businesses across Kansas. They were not allowed to have visitors for quite a period of time. They had operated they have not received money from the state for 60 years. They have operated previously having donors, but without a executive director doing the fundraising, it has dropped significantly, and the all-volunteer board simply cannot do all of the fundraising necessary to keep their doors open. So they are in a very difficult position. So their ask is for $400,000 to get for a 2-year for their ability to get a executive director back and get the boathouse ready to roll. It would be from the Attracting Professional Sports to Kansas Fund. Unfortunately, EDIF appears to have been occupied. So we would take $400,000 from Attracting Professional Sports to Kansas Fund to support one time the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame and get their ability to sustain themselves back up and running.
We have a motion. We have a second. Senator Petty seconds. Questions? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It seemed like I talked to someone on that 400,000 was going to be like 200,000 for 2 years. Are we giving them the 400 all up front in one time, or was that spread over 2 years?
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the initial thought was to take it out of EDIF over a 2-year period because EDIF only had a certain amount of money in it, and now that the passage of SB 15 has occupied those funds, so we would just take the 400,000 one time according to this proviso. If someone wanted to spread it over 2 years, that's fine with me too, but this particular proviso would just do it all at once, and we would not be expecting them to ask for money again.
Senator Fagg. Senator McGinn.
So what's the breakdown of how they're going to use that money?
Senator Clays.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what was explained to me, and I have some of it in writing here, but my goodness, I've got so many things on here I cannot tell you. It's my understanding that it would be to hire back an executive director over the course of the 2 years to have an on-ramp to fundraising again, and then it would be some improvements to the boathouse, not anything super structural, but for the boathouse to be able to handle visitors again, and some staffing there as well. I think they're down to, if memory serves, and unfortunately I don't have it in front of me, but if memory serves, they're down to about $30,000.
Senator McGinn.
So I think they always did function based on people donating money. I would like to see maybe within a year what kind of progress they've made. You know, I just wouldn't want, we go pay somebody to run this for 2 years and nothing happens, and we just paid a salary. I'd like to see a progress report.
Senator Clays.
So I would amend my motion then, and then let's break it into 2 years, 200,000 per year in 20. So this would be, the amount would be in 24, the next amount would be in 25. Oh, wait, so it would be FY25, FY26. So then at the end of, or at the beginning, when would we need that report? When would you like that report?
Well, it needs to come during session.
So maybe
So-
delivered to appropriations and ways and means by,
January 26th?
yeah, end of January 2025. So I would amend my motion to two payments, one in 25, one in 26, with a report due to the Kansas Legislature, Senate Ways and Means, and House Appropriations on their fundraising progress by the end of January 2025.
Okay, and second, you okay with the amendment? Questions first, okay.
So I
Senator McGinn.
guess they would only have been working for 6 months when they have to do that first report.
Yeah,
That's fine.
we can ask,
Since you broke it down into 2 years.
yeah, and we'll have an opportunity to see what progress. Yeah.
Thank you.
Question, Senator Petty.
So that really was my question too. As I was listening to the conversation, originally I thought the report was going to be due by January 2026, but you said 2025. So they would actually have only had the funds for 6 months. So I guess it would just be
Senator Clays.
reporting on whether they've been able to hire somebody or not.
Senator Clays.
Yeah, so we can ask for it at the end of January 25, and then as we go through the budget process, if we want to amend that or ask for updates throughout, we can do that as well. But the timing's not great for the FY.
So I was a second.
Senator Petty, okay. So she's
Support.
reaffirming her second. Okay, any other questions on the amended motion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any discussion on the proviso as amended? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Anyone else have anything? Senator Clays.
Last one. This is for, we did this last year, the Pregnancy Compassion Awareness Program. It's the appropriation for that. The difference in this proviso is simply that we would not go through the RFP process again. It just authorizes the state treasurer to continue that program.
We'll start out with questions. Senator McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if this is the program, I think it is. So we're not going to do an RFP, but I don't know how well the current company, entity that's managing it, I don't know what their outcomes are. I don't know what they've done. And I hate to see that, and I'm surprised there's no report on this as well. Do you know more about this, Senator Clay?
Senator Clays.
Yeah, thank you. So I believe that they started up and were formally launched in October. There were estimated to be about 50 of the providers that were serving pregnant women and their families. The organization, let's see, they have, oh, here we go. 30 plus of the resource centers, maternity homes, adoption agencies, and social service organizations are receiving funding. They have approved 10 entities as subcontractors, 20 are in various stages of approval to participate, and they are continuing to talk to other program subcontractors. So the programming and the support for the programming appears to be working as planned, but there is reporting in the sense that they have to keep coming back and testifying on the program because we go through this process to insert them. So there is testimony available from mid-February on the House and Human Services Committee that they had a hearing on this. that shows what they've been accomplishing so far. But again, it did just start in October, and they're going through their processes to onboard the agencies individually.
Senator McGinn.
So how, and I agree that it hasn't been up and running long, but how would we view their books? Are they on the Secretary of State site? Where would we find their book counting?
Senator Clays.
That is not something I know. I believe the nonprofit entities would each be filing with the federal government, so you would be able to see their 990s. Where else do they report?
Senator Alley just pointed out in this that they'll submit a report to the legislature and to the treasurer on or before June 30th of '25.
Oh, okay, so that's, yeah, there it is. I see that at the bottom of page 1. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Petty.
So mine's along the same lines, and I did see where this report's going to be submitted. Is there a reason why it's June and not January? I mean, we just talked about, like, with the funding going to the Sports Hall of Fame, having a report come to the legislature in January because we're in session. June, we're not in session. And so that would actually mean that legislatively, nothing would be reviewed until really 26. So is there a reason why this can't be January?
Senator Clays.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, just like we talked about, there's not really a lot of on-ramp there for there to be a significant reporting. But like I said, there has been testimony this year already in February on the progress they're making since October when it formally started. So it's not like there's not an opportunity to have the discussion if anyone wants to have that discussion. It is online if you'd like to go to House Bill 2789 from February 16th over in the House. They did provide testimony over there on the progress of the organization. But yeah, I think the fiscal year is the reason for the reporting on that date. And of course, we received those in our email through the interim.
Other questions? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this their only source of funding?
Senator Clays.
For the actual centers, no. For the entity that is doing the distribution, yes.
And this will be an ongoing, excuse me.
Senator Alley.
And would this be an ongoing cost?
Senator Clays. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They do request it each year because it is in the form of a budget proviso. So it would need to be inserted in our budget each year. It is only ongoing at the will of this committee to fund it.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Petty.
So I'm still unclear why this can't be a report coming in January 30th of 2025 instead of June. I don't think I'm the only one, but there is more attention paid when we have a report provided to us about actions on funding that we're giving to in this case, those entities are available there. But it's new funding that is going out, and it's certainly, we're critical of other resources going for maternal health. We just approved adding to our budget $600,000 for improvements to a hospital that provides for the care of maternal and fetal health. So I really can't quite understand why we're not having for a report in January as opposed to June.
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm having the staff check on the proviso from last year to see if it has a June 30, 2024 requirement. Because this is for FY 2025, of course, it is referring to the reporting in 2025. But I am checking to see if there is a June 30, 2024 reporting as well.
Thank you.
And I'm told that it is, yes. So guess confirmed.
Senator McGinn.
I kind of agree with Senator Petty on that timing, just because we would be in session. And that's really the time that we have the opportunity to look at stuff. I mean, you may get an email, but if you work, you might miss it. But, and then if it was in January, they would have over a year under their, since they started the contract.
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They'd also just be reporting an additional 6 months from the one that's already in the budget bill from last year. So yeah, you wouldn't be getting a full year of experience anyway. You'd be getting 6 months at that point. So since we started with June, I would just suggest we stick with it. And of course, we can have them come speak to committees at any time. It doesn't appear that there's any consternation with doing that, since they did just testify on February 16th.
Other questions? Seeing none, Senator, if you'd like to make your motion.
I move the proviso for FY '25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Fagg. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would you like to be recorded? Okay. Are there any other provisos? Seeing none, I think we are ready for a motion.
I just have one motion.
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we did the motion for the special education funding, we did FY '25, but not '26. So I would make the clarification that it is '25 and '26. And in addition to that motion, I would move the approval of the Dane G. Hansen Foundation item, the $5 million for the matching grant program.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Fagg seconds. Questions?
I don't have a question.
Senator Petty.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I appreciate the wisdom of looking at putting the 5 million in, since that's becomes a 4-to-1 match for those 26 rural communities when it comes to childcare. So it's a very smart move on the part of our legislature.
Any other questions or comments? I guess comments. Senator Petty.
Well, I do have a question. So I would like the clarification about the special ed funding.
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what we did in 2025 would just simply carry over to 2026 for purposes of clarifying that those two items are omnibus reviews, except for now the Dane G. Hansen item.
Okay. Senator Petty.
So all the special ed funding, or the request for the additional special ed funding, are under review for 25 and 26? I'm
The way,
sure.
yeah, the way, sorry.
Senator Clays.
The way the motion was all the additions. So those additions that were made in the KSDE budget were set off to omnibus review. We would continue that. We would also apply it to 2026. And then we would approve the Dane G. Hansen item at this time.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Senator McGinn.
Just sorry to make you have to keep explaining this. I want to be clear. So the special education money, I don't have that paperwork in front of me, that 70 million will not be in there. Review it omnibus. And if we don't have an omnibus bill, then there's no special education.
Senator Clays.
These are all additions. So yes, there continues to be special education funding as it was. These are the additions that we had previously subtracted from 2025. I was trying to be efficient with a single motion here. Sorry, guys. This was not supposed to be so complicated. So it would be the same thing that we already did in 2025. It would carry over to 2026 because evidently I failed to say 26 in the motion. And then it would approve the Dane G. Hansen item.
Other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any other provisos or changes? Seeing none, I think we're ready to pass our bill out. Senator Clays.
Mr. Chairman, I move that all adopted committee amendments be included. Recommend SB 514 as a substitute bill, that staff be authorized to make any technical amendments, and that substitute for SB 514 be passed.
I have a motion. We have a second. Second by President Masterson. Questions? Seeing none. Nancy, we need a roll call vote.
Alley. Clays.
Aye.
Fag.
Aye.
Kirshen. Masterson. McGinn. Petty. Pittman.
Motion passes unanimously. Committee, that is our work for today. We are adjourned. Thank you.